Hi guys, I hope I'm live. Just give me 1 second. Hi Tajabov, hi Alpheus. Yes, Alpheus, you're right, absolutely right, that's true. Hi Tripura. Hi Amay, hi Raviteja. Well, I don't know. Hi Krit. Hi Aryan. Okay, great, stream started. Okay guys, just let me know if everything is perfect, voice, if there's no echo, just let me know. Thanks, Harshal. Hi, Shantanu. Okay, guys, so I'm streaming after a very long time. Um, on the channel. So just bear with me if I go wrong with the voice because I don't have my mic right now. So I'm just using my headphones. If in case there is any lag, do let me know. Okay, let's get to IQP, guys. IQP is basically isolated queen spawn, and it is a very important topic. Voice is low. Okay, voice is high, really. Guys, you have to tell me what's true. Like, hi Abdut. Hi Shabadi. Hi guys. So today the topic is IQP, which is basically isolated queen spawn, and it is a very important topic. So we are going to have a look at a few games, and we'll see the structure and we'll discuss what happens in these kind of structures. Just a second. Sahil, I don't know if he'll join us or not, most probably not, and we might play Title Tuesday later on. Let's see. Yeah, this is my favorite topic too. Not during the game, but it's very easy to teach this, and also it is very complicated and it can lead to some strange tactical positions. So I'll show you a few typical setups with white when white has the IQP, and then maybe later we can shift to when black has IQP. So let's go d4 d5 and f3 e6. I'm not going to tell you who played this game because there's Krit in the chat and he has a database, so he'll just check it. So that's why not. Hi Devash. Okay, Shantanu. I try to play Title Tuesday. Okay, so c4, d4, e3, c5. So when you play c5, you already know that you are going to end up with an IQP because takes and takes and bishop c4. So basically we'll have d4 against e6 if you don't do anything with white here, that is bishop into c4, e6, castles, knight f6, bishop b3, and here cd4, ed4. You have the typical IQP structure. So the main concept here is that you have e5 square for white and black has the d5 square, so he'll try to blockade the d4 pawn with knight d5. He'll try his best to not let this pawn go to d5, because if that happens, even yesterday we saw in a game, I think it was in Hari Krishna's game, Hari Krishna allowed d4. So after that he had minus position, and before that he had a great position in the opening, but he somehow messed it up and he played d4. He let his opponent play d4, and I think the game ended in a draw, but still it was very difficult for him. Yeah, Aryan, that's true. Actually, IQP, we've been taught in childhood that accepting IQP is wrong, because if you exchange pieces, then you will end up in a position where you will have to support this with your king, and this is a weak pawn. It cannot be protected by any other pawn, and that's why it is considered a weakness, and that's why people say that you shouldn't go for IQP structures, but you can really attack well. Yes, Shubhadeep, yes, he deserved some rest today, I guess. Um, yes, Alpheus, you're perfect. Knight should be kept here and it should be blockaded, because if it's pushed, then it's first of all very strong because it can reach to d6, as well as you open files for your own pieces. And sometimes what happens is, not right now, but sometimes what happens is you play d5 and you give up this pawn, you give up your own isolated pawn, and you make sure that opponent takes the pawn with the pawn, and then his pawn is weak on d5, which you can later capture. So if that exchange happens of this pawn and this pawn, then the position is usually equalish. And even if it's not equal, white has more activity. So do not exchange pieces. That is the first rule of IQP. Go for the attack, don't go for exchanges. Play for squares e5 and c5, mostly e5. Get your bishops on e3, rook on e1, and you will always have ideas with rook lifts when it comes to IQP. So let's just go ahead in the game and check out what has been played. Knight c6, knight c3, just developing. Bishop e7, bishop g5, castles, rook c1, and if you see, this bishop is not yet developed, so that is your compensation right now. And yeah, Aryan, that's true. In Pano, that is possible with bishop d3. You're right. And now knight d5 has been played. So now what do you do, guys? Do you exchange or do you come back with your bishop? Yeah, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you a few attacking games, and they are very typical. Like, they'll show you the typical ideas in IQP. Hi, Amir. Alpheus, that's true. That's true. Actually, even I don't like to exchange pieces because I like to attack, and players who like to play tactical or attacking, they like to keep their pieces on the board. They don't like exchanging much. So here, yes, you're right. We do not exchange. We do not exchange. You are absolutely right. We come back bishop e3, and the point of bishop e3 is that if you had taken here with bishop into e7, he would just capture with the knight on c file, and he would have a stronghold on the d5 square. So black's plan is basically to get the knight on d5, and he would like to have a knight on d5, not any other piece. So that's why this is a good move for black, because if white exchanges, then I think black is already doing fine. All he has to do is just develop the bishop from here. The bishop will be open, will be on a great diagonal. The bishop on b3 cannot be challenged in any way here. So I think black is doing fine. So that's why you go bishop e3. Bishop e3 with the idea. It is very typical again. You're not scared of this because it just helps you with the rook. And you need the f file sometimes. And this pawn has protection now. So knight into e3 is a mistake from black's side. So here black decides to play knight into c3 because he thinks after knight into c3, b into c3 will be played. And after b into c3, we have this pair of pawns. And right now black doesn't have this resource with rook c8 and knight c4. But this can be possible sometimes in the game. But here, since the rook is on c1, you do not capture it with the pawn, you capture it with the rook, because I mentioned this is an important square, this is an important square. So you have two important squares with white, and black has an important square on d5. So this is the trade-off usually. Knight b4, again going for this square with the knight, again a very typical move. Also guys, remember there are variations where you get the bishop on a2 and then b1, because you do not want the c file to be blocked with bishop c2. So sometimes you even have plans like a3 to prevent knight b4. But right now it's fine, knight b4, and now you play knight e5. So the knight is very strong on e5. Black plays knight d5. Both the knights are extremely well placed. This is not really queen sacrifice, but this is Mohammad Rao's game. Yes, 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 you're right. Full form of IQP is isolated queen pawn Ashlesh. Hi Purvi. Okay, a lot has happened in the chat. Let me check. Yes, it's a famous game, guys. It's a famous game. You're right, absolutely right. Rook c1. So you just come back with the rook because you need this open file for the rook. And since you can even enter via c7 sometimes, so this is a good rook, and still black is not challenging the rook on c8. Bishop d7, threatening to do rook c8 and trying for some counterplay and some exchanges. Queen g4. So the threat here is basically bishop h6. We all know that when the queen is on g4 and the pawn is on g7, there is always this threat of bishop h6. Bishop b5, bishop h6, bishop f6, the only way to protect the pawn, because otherwise you will lose in exchange. Rook e1. So rook e1 makes a lot of sense, guys. Here there are two plans. You can even sometimes go with f4 and f5 and try to undermine this pawn structure, because the bishop, if it's placed here, then you have to attack the f7 pawn, and then you can go with f4 and f5 so that you can have some attack. And in case the bishop is on this diagonal, then you don't go for this, then you go for d5, or you try for some other moves like queen d3, and you try to build against this, try to build pressure against h7. But when the bishop is on b3, you go for f4 and f5, again a very typical move. f4, f5, the other idea is to remove the defender of this blockade. If there was no pawn on e6, then the knight on d5 is not well protected, and it is not a great piece, and it can be attacked, it can be removed from the place of blockade, and you can start pushing your own pawn. Rook fe1 was played, because now this is an outpost, because rook is protecting it, pawn is protecting it, knight is extremely strong. Knight goes back and bishop comes back again. The point behind this move is, I think black just wanted to play knight g6, and then this bishop would be left hanging, so he just brought his bishop back. Another idea is to go bishop b4 and pin the knight, because as I mentioned, knight on d5 is the best piece to be placed on d5. You can try to place a bishop on d5, but bishop on d5 is not a great blockader. That's why bishop b4, and you can try to exchange this piece, even though I mentioned that exchange should not take place. Not so many exchanges should take place in IQP, but you can go for exchange of this with this. Shall I talk in Hindi, guys? I'll try. Just a second. Krit rook d3, there is no point, because there is there is a pawn on d4 and you are placing a rook on the closed file, so the c file is opened up. Yes, Shubhadeep, yes, that always is a trick. Bishop h6. Aryan, actually, I don't think IQP you should go like that. You have to castle, because you can still attack even if your king is on g1. I mean, you can play rook e1, rook e3, and then rook h3, and then go for h4, h5, because till g6 has not been played, there is no point in playing h4 and h5. But if your opponent plays something like g6, then why not? You can go for h4 and h5 without a doubt. Hindi, okay. I'll try to mix it. Hi Amrish. I'll try to have a mix of English and Hindi, but I think I'll just keep talking in English because that's how I'm used to. Hi BM Pratik. GM Pratik. So bishop d2 to play maybe something like bishop here, and also to play bishop into e6 at some point, because you can even have rook e3 or rook c3 and some rook lifts here. So these are called rook lifts. So you don't take the long route, you just take a short route to this file. Queen d6, and now comes the critical point, guys. What should white play here? You can try to take a minute and try to solve this. It's a very typical idea and you should always be aware of such tricks. यहाँ पे क्या खेला जाए guys? बहुत typical move है. I mean, this is like ये many people don't know this कि ये आ सकता है, but you have to remember this. Okay, I'll talk in English, guys. I'll try to explain. If you don't understand, then just let me know. I'll try to explain it in Hindi. Yeah, guys, no timeouts today. It's fine. You can spam. I give you the right to spam today. It's fine. Just for one day, you can spam. Bye, GM Pratik. Bishop at 6. Okay. All right. But Amrish, we just played bishop d2. I mean, this was the position, and we just played bishop d2 to play bishop b4, and that's why queen d6 was played to prevent bishop b4 as well as bishop into e6. So now what should be the move? Great, if you know the moves, do not tell the moves. Krit, तुम कुछ भी बोलो बस moves मत बताओ. Like, that's fine, because I'm sure you've seen this. Yes, guys, so Shantanu bishop f4 is interesting, but you have to be aware of queen d4. I don't know if it's possible right now, but it is always a threat, so do not give up this pawn. Salam, yes, you are right. Knight f7 is the correct move. But how come Sayam and Krit have typed the exact same thing? Okay, so knight into f7 is an important move, and I'm showing you this game because it's very typical, guys. It's very typical. Just remember, the bishop is here and there's always a threat of knight e5, knight f7, and it can be with the queen on e2 or even with the queen on g4. यहाँ पे rook into f7, and now which should you capture with? Like, which piece should you capture here with your bishop, with your rook, or with your queen? Pawn push, Shubhadi, pawn push would mean just e5 and there's nothing. Aryan, bishop c2. Well, bishop c2 can be played. I mean, it's not a bad move, but you have something immediate, and in IQP it is important to strike at the right moment. So that's why knight into f7, and again, it's very typical. You will see this in many games, this move, knight into f7. Rook captures. Yes guys, rook into e6 is slightly more better than bishop into e6, because bishop into e6 you just win a rook for your two minor pieces. So rook and pawn for two minor pieces, and you don't want that. There is a deep idea after rook into e6. Queen goes to d7, and here you play rook into f6, guys. Okay, so I think Krit meant queen sacrifice here. Okay, then it makes sense. Queen into g4, rook into f7, king h8. So he has sacrificed his queen for a lot of counterplay, and he is going to get a lot of pieces. So rook into e7, rook c8, exchange the pieces, and you just play d5. and finally you move your IQP and it soon will be promoted to a queen, or at least you will win opponent's queen for this pawn, and you will have bishop c3. Maybe you can play h3, one move in between, just to make sure there is an escape route for the king and there is no back rank threat. So this is one game. It was played between Mamid Rao and Andrei Karlov in 2006. So it's an old game but very instructive. Just a second. Guys, is it lagging or is it fine? Just let me know. I think I'll have to, because it's showing me some error on my side. Just give me 1 second. Just a second, guys. Okay, there's no lag. Perfect. Then it's fine. I thought there's some lag. Okay, perfect, guys. Let's move to the next game. And just a second. Okay, so this was played between okay, should I tell you or should I just wait? I think I should wait. I should not tell you, because again we have the database Krit here. So I'm not going to tell you who played this game. Yeah, I can do that, Shubhadeep. That's perfect. I can do that. Hi, Puneet. In which position, Aryan? Okay, d4, nf6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, e3, c5, bishop d3, knight c6, knight g2, c into d4, e into d4, d5, c into d5, and knight into d5. So again we have the IQP structure where you have d4 pawn against the e6 pawn. And guys, all of these concepts are similar when they are played with opposite colors. That is, when you are black and you have d5 against e3, the concepts are same. That is, with black, if you have d5 against e3, e4 and c4 are important squares, and for white, d4 square is important. So that's why like, it's not necessary that you have to study the games from black as well. It's a structure. So when usually you study structures, they can go well for both white and black. You just need to understand the concepts. Last wali Aryan, it's better for white, much better for white, because he has bishop and a rook for the queen, and also he has double bishops which are targeting the king side, and also the rook is on the 7th rank and he has many pawns. So that's the reason it is better for white. Castles, bishop d6. So black is basically Nigel shot, okay, and he is not really playing well. He is not responding well. This is a very tactical game, guys, and I am going to ask you a few questions very soon. Knight e4, bishop e7. So knight e4 is a good move, I would say, because you got this in a tempo, and I think for black, this bishop is important and he shouldn't exchange it, because this bishop can attack the d4 pawn, and that's why it's required. Bishop e7, but bishop e7 again is wrong, because you want to go knight e7 or knight b4. That's why a3 to prevent knight b4. Now that knight e7 is not an option, so you go a3 and even prevent knight b4. Castles, bishop c2, rook e8, queen d3, and already I am threatening moves like knight g5 and something to do on the h7 square, because it's always an idea to attack here, since the knight is used for blockading on d5. h7 is left hanging in most cases, because the knight jumps here, so it's not protecting h7. g6, and in many situations you will see that d5 pawn is sacrificed because white basically wants the knight on f6 to be on d5 so that he can attack on h7. g6, bishop h6, you quickly take advantage of all the light square weakness around the king and you place your bishop here as quickly as possible before black can go bishop f8 and bishop g7 to attack this. b6, so he is just trying for something to do here and also having some protection on the d5 square. Rook a d1, yeah, I know Shubhadeep. Actually, Sahil was on a break and usually he schedules the stream. So I thought like I'll just schedule a stream without any description and it should be fine. But I'll change that later for sure. Great, okay. Bishop b7, rook fe1, rook c8. And now can you guess the move, guys? You can try to guess the move here. Guys, do like the stream so more people join us and they get to learn about IQP. Just try to guess the move, guys. You can think for a minute. And Krid, do not announce the move. Hi Deepak. Okay, so here yeah, I know this is a simple prophylaxis. You're right, Krit. Aryan, okay, all right. Any other move, guys? क्या खेला जाए यहाँ पे? Like, what should be the move? Can you say what is black threatening here? After rook c8, he is trying to threaten something. So you have to defend against that. Sayam, knight to c3. I think knight to c3 can be played, but the thing is that you do not want to exchange pieces. That's the only reason why knight to c3 is incorrect. Otherwise, I understand your plan that you just want to exchange here and have a pair of pawns, but it's something different. Yes, Shobhadeep. Hi, Arth. Guys, just see, try to check what happens after rook c8. Why black has played rook c8? No, Krit? No, not at all. Can you see the threat, guys? What is your opponent trying to do? Can you try to prevent it by any way? First see the threat and then try to prevent it. Avdut, bishop a4 is actually a good move. You are right. I think you've understood the threat. So guys, let me tell you. Yes, knight b4 is the threat. So guys, right now if I make a random move right now, like maybe something like what do I do here? Okay, maybe something like g3 in order to play h4, for instance, because this bishop is here. Then there is a possibility of this, because after takes, and it will lead to some exchanges, because now this rook attacks c2. Yes, Aryan, you're perfect. Yes, guys, you're right. There, yes, rook c8 attacks the bishop. Perfect. Yes, guys, so that's why to prevent this, we do not play any random move like g3 or h4. We go for bishop b3, and again, if the bishop is placed here, then you have to target this pawn. If the bishop placed here, then you have to target this pawn. Simple as that, guys. Don't complicate it. And if you want to attack on h7, then just bring the bishop back. If this is not possible, just come back like this, and you should be just fine here with white. a6. So I think a6 was a mistake. I mean, black is just wasting moves now. And now knight to g3. So knight to g3 has some plans. He has some typical sacrifices like knight h5. So okay, so if something else has been played, like if something like knight d7, queen d7, then you can just go knight h5, and you will take control of these weakened squares. So you cannot take obviously because of queen g3. That's great, guys. That's great. I haven't checked Carlsen's game yet. I'll check that later. So knight h5 is the threat, and Gata Kamsky was white, and Nigel Short just ignored. He played knight b8. He thought since knight h5 controls f6, he should also try to do something with knight d7 and take control of f6. So queen f3, he is not in a hurry. Gata Kamsky is taking it slow. Rook c7 just to protect on f7 since the bishop is here again, I repeat. Thanks Deepak. Knight h5, knight d7, and try to guess the move, guys. Just try to guess the move. This is the first step, and after that you will what is Gundumali Enturupa? What do you mean, Alpheus? Guys, you can try to find the move. Guys, do like the stream so more people join us. Okay, Shubhadeep mentioned I should give a clue. Just try for it is actually deep, so I would tell you to go for something like Alpha Zero's approach. Yeah guys, so the move here is h4, and after h4 the idea is deep, and let's do one thing, guys. Let's try to study this position without moving the pieces on the board. Let's try to do it blindfold after this. So here, what do you think happens after bishop into h4? So I'm not going to make the move, but I'm just going to point out what happens after bishop h4. Okay, Alpheus. Actually, I know one Tamil song. I don't remember it though. If you guys know Nandida, she used to sing this song a lot. Okay, well. ND6, okay. And what after rook e7? So you want to play this and then you want to play this, okay. And what happens to rook e7, guys? Hi Aritra. Rook d3, actually we are looking at a position where we are doing some blindfold analysis after bishop into h4, knight d6 and rook e7. So you can try to figure out. Yes, Nandita PV, yes. She's a good friend of mine. Okay, let's just check what happens. Okay, bishop into h4, knight d6, rook e7, and now I've made all the moves, and now you can try to figure out the move, guys. And it is very difficult to see this while calculating from h4, but now in this position I'm sure you can figure out what's happening. Alpheus, that's amazing. If you saw this, that's amazing because it's true. This traps the bishop. but before that we just take here so that there is no pin here, and after that we can do rook e4. So we win the piece and we win the game, because even this is not possible. You just take and you have queen g4 and you win the game. Yes, rook e4 guys, rook e4 is the move. A tough move to spot, but if you look at this move from this point, then it becomes very difficult to see rook e4. Harshal, bishop into d5 is not bad, because bishop d5 takes and you still have queen f4, so it's possible, but I still would prefer rook e4 because it's more direct and it leads to some threatening positions, and you are also adding a rook, so 5 points you're adding in the attack. Hi Mohit, we were actually, yesterday we did analyze Earthing Masters, but today I thought let's just study IQP, and maybe I'll play Title Tuesday today after this. Okay, so let's go back. This was the idea behind h4, very deep guys, and that's why bishop into h4 is not possible. Knight 7 f6 was played in the game, and now what do you play? Should you take? Because I'm asking you this because we have an IQP, and what do you think should be played here? Should we capture an exchange, or should we do something else? Hi Ajan, Sahil is taking a break. He might join us later, but I think he was tired because he had been streaming almost every day for last 45 days. Okay, so here guys, you take, and since you have a piece on h5 which is hanging, you just takes, and now comes the great move guys, and the typical move in these kind of structures. So I hope you find this move, because even if you don't, you will learn something about this structure. That's fine Ajan, just keep playing, it happens. You must have learned something. Yes Shubhadeep, capturing is correct. Okay, Harshal says bishop g5. Okay. Krit, do not tell the move, please. Krit, do not tell the move. I'll have to give you a timeout for this. Okay guys, so you're correct. D5 is the move, but D5 you need to see some variations, and D5 is again very typical because the bishop is here. You want to just take and you want to put some pressure on this diagonal. So F5, F4, F5 is the typical break, and even D4, D5. And many people don't know about F4, F5, which we'll see in the next game. Yeah, I just gave Krit a timeout for some time. Knight into e4, and now try to guess the move guys again. Also, I want to show you something guys. Here, black has so many ways of capturing, right? He can capture with the bishop, with the pawn, with the knight, but nothing works because, for instance, bishop into d5, you just take, and he can take on d5, but you have this amazing move, rook into d5, e into d5, and you play knight f6, bishop into f6, and here you play rook into e8, takes, and after queen f6 you cannot stop the mate on queen g7. I mean, you can give up your queen, but of course you will also lose the rook on c7, so you will just be queen down. Krit, I'll give you a timeout. So here, this is one thing that can happen. If you capture with this, then again I can take, and I can play queen into f6, and also still it's going to be a checkmate, because rook into e1, rook into e1, queen into f6, and I have rook e8. So it's a very complicated position, guys, and so many tactics happening already. Okay, so we move back, and we'll even check what happens if instead of bishop into d5, knight into d5 was played. Same thing, guys. You still capture bishop into d5. Takes this, queen into d5, that is. And now you play knight f6. So it is complicated again, because bishop into can also mean I can here take this as well as I can take the queen. It's completely up to me. So it's completely winning, guys. d5 was the critical move, and after e into d5 you just take here. I think you can even take with this, but okay, knight into f6 is the easiest. Takes, and again you have the same thing, rook e8 or queen f6, completely up to you. You can decide what you want to play, and then there's your checkmate here. So a great game, right? I mean, I like the move d5 here. I mean, it comes with such an impact, and it looks like maybe here bishop g5. If I was white, I would probably go for maybe something to do with I don't know if I would play d5 or not. Here maybe I would come back. To be honest, if I was white, I would not exchange, thinking that this is a positional game and I should try for h5 maybe. I mean, not positional completely, but I will have to stay with many pieces. But you just take and then play d5. Yes, you're right. Bishop on h6 is extremely strong. It is giving so many threats with rook e8, queen f6, and d5 pawn is just amazing, because if you don't take, then I have d6, d into e6, and there is a checkmate here. So for instance, if knight into e4, that is what happened in the game, and now f into e6, threatening a checkmate already. f5, he has to give up the queen. Takes, and now you play rook d1, exchange the rooks, and game over, guys. So Gata Kamsky won against Nigel Short. This was played in Candidates 1994, so long back. Yes, guys, I hope you like this game, because this is one of my favorite games when it comes to IQP. I really like this game. Let's move to the next game. Okay, this was again played in Candidates in 1962, so way back. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3, c5, takes, and e3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight into c3, pawn into c3, and in this game we'll see that there'll be a pair of pawns on c3 and d4. Bishop e7, castles, e4, b6, bishop b2, bishop b7, queen e2. So again, this is a setup. Whenever you have a pawn here, you can go ahead with your e pawn, because this pawn does a good job in protecting the d4 square. Why, Aryan? Yeah, they lead to hanging pawns, but hanging pawns is basically without this. So because they are a completely different pawn island. I Kailashnath, knight a5, bishop d3. So now we don't have this bishop on this square, I mean on this diagonal, so we get it on the other diagonal trying to attack here. There is no knight on f6. We try to take advantage of that. The h7 square is extremely weak and vulnerable. Rook c8, rook a d1. This was played basically because it's always a good idea to play this rook first, and in IQP many people get confused which rook to play on d1. So the idea is simple. If you've not captured this before, and if you can play rook c1 first, then play rook c1. If you've captured this, then you can go for rook d1, and you keep this rook here because it can be employed on the e file, and it can go to h3 later on if f4 and rook f3 can take place. So cd4, cd4, bishop b4, d5. So again, we do not wait for our pieces. All our pieces are developed, they are on great squares, and you just go ahead with the pawn. Aryan, well, they are using Kritfish, so it's fine. So he takes into d5. So again we have a pawn already here, and this is now isolated queen passer and not just a pawn. So it is a passed pawn, and it has to be blockaded very quickly. So maybe something like this, or something like this. Get the knight to d6, and then you will be fine. If you don't do that, if you fail to do that, then you will have a bad position. So this is of course not possible, because this would lead to maybe bishop e4, or even I think there can be some threats like queen e5, queen h5. I think queen e5 is nice with some threats here and here, so I like this move. Alpheus, this is not Kasparov's game, this is Keres' game against Geller. Thanks, Nightbot. Okay, so we come back to d5. Queen e7 was played because, of course, black wants to exchange pieces. Knight e5, you do not want to exchange pieces. f6, queen h5, and again you are attacking here. g6, and now guys, it's obvious what's to be played here. I mean, without a doubt, knight into g6, guys. If you get such a position, you have to just take. You shouldn't be worried about it not working. You just have to take here. Bishop into g6, and then you have ideas like rook d3 and rook h3 threatening here. Just look at these two bishops. They are completely dominating the king side. This bishop is here, this bishop is here, and the bishop on b7 and the knight on a5 are not participating in the attack. Queen g7 was played just to make sure that queen is guarding the king side, and maybe something like bishop e7 or bishop d6, bishop e5, some exchanges basically. Rook d3, again rook lift, typical in IQP. Bishop d6 to prevent rook g3. And now what do you play, guys? What should be the move? What do you think should be played here? Guys, and the game after this is again one of my favorite games. So this is I wouldn't say this is one of my favorite games, but if you want to learn IQP, I think this is an important game. And the game after this is really interesting. Yes, f4 is the move. Krit, move mat batao yaar. Bishop e3, Harshal, exchange नहीं करना है अभी. But bishop e3 is an interesting move to I think you want to exchange here and then play rook g3. I mean, you just want to divert the bishop from this diagonal. Well, that's possible, but then you've already given up too many pieces, so that's why you do not play that. You play c4. I mean, you play f4 and queen h8. You go queen g4. You are not worried about f5 because takes, and you already see the queen is under attack. आर्यन रुक g3 ना खेल पाए इसीलिए तो बिशप d6 खेला, so that's why not रुक g3. You just prevent f4, मतलब you just close the diagonal, right? Aryan, लेकिन you have to worry about your own king safety. So rook g3 for instance, then maybe takes something like this, and okay, I'm thinking, just a second. I think there is enough counterplay, so I can even go rook c7, so that after rook f4 I have bishop c8 preventing rook g4, and now you don't even have the g3 square. So that's the problem, Aryan. Aritra, queen f5, when exactly here? Queen f5? Queen f5 is interesting. Yes, queen f5 is interesting. You're right. I think queen f5 I can just play rook c4 myself, or I can play not rook c4. One second, I have to prevent this move, so I have to go maybe something like rook e8. So I have to give up the exchange back and play like that. But yes, queen f5 makes a lot of sense. You are right, I agree. But I think he just wanted to attack and finish the game off with a checkmate. So f4, queen f8, queen g4, bishop c5 check, king h1, rook c7, and you play the amazing move here. So guys, you can figure out the move. It's a small trick, but a really interesting one. It's almost a checkmate now. After around 4 moves, you can try to calculate this small variation. And Krit, please do not tell the moves. What do you think should be played here, guys? White to play and checkmate in 5 moves. 5 moves, guys. Forced checkmate. Krit, do not answer. Krit, I am going to put you in timeout. Yes, guys, so bishop h7 is the move. Double check, and king moves here. Ajan, I think Krit is he just knows the game, or he's using Kritfish. I'm sure, because I think he just knows the game probably. So I'm going to give him a timeout. And Krit, do not tell the moves. I have been telling you for a long while. So if anyone spots Krit for today mods, if anyone spots Krit answering, then you are free to give him a timeout. But only if he answers a move, nothing else. Bishop h5 ko queen rook g7 is obviously an idea, and also queen g7. That's why it won't work. But bishop h7 is double check, guys. So if you take, then of course rook h3 is a checkmate. And if you play this, then queen e6, the pawn protects. The d5 pawn is extremely important. बिना रीजन के मत देना गाइस, बस कोई मूव बताए तो ही देना. टाइम आउट कृत को. So here rook g3, king captures, and queen h3 is a checkmate again. So that was a forced checkmate in 5 move. So nice example, right? I like this one also. But the next one is one of my favorites. Hi Saurav. So let's move to the next one, guys. Okay, so this was played between, I'm not going to tell you, but this was played in 1936, so long back, but it's a classic. And only after this game, the first game that we saw was possible because they studied the classics well. So c4, e6, knight f3, d5, d4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop e7, bishop g5, castles e3, knight b d7. They're just developing the pieces. Regardless, Krit, just do not tell the moves. Hi Chef Shankar Prasad. Bishop d3, and there are variations with rook c1, and you can play bishop d3 later on. It's completely up to you, but I think bishop d3 is good because you can quickly try for getting control of this square, because it's extremely important to control the e4 square in these kind of positions. So c5 was played. When the knight is on d7, there's always this chance of playing c5. Castles, takes, bishop c4, and we have reached IQP position again. The same structure with d4 pitted against e6, knight b6. So this is very similar. If you guys play the French, if you reverse this, then there is a line in French where the bishop is on c5 and knight goes to b3, and it's a very similar pawn structure. It happens in French exchange. So if you play French defense exchange variation, then you might have seen this with bishop c5 and knight b3. A very typical idea again, but reversed colors. Now you go bishop b3 and not bishop d3, because again you want to have, you can play bishop d3 as well, but this is more flexible because you also have queen d3, bishop c2 ideas targeting this pawn, and that is the main difference here. Really, Vikesh? That's amazing. That's great. So यहाँ पे basically bishop d7, and now there is again we follow the plan with queen d3. We have played bishop b3 so that the bishop goes to c2. Had we played bishop d3 before instead of bishop b3, तो और एक move लग जाती, like bishop c2, and you would have to play queen d3 again. So you would waste a move here, and every single move is important in this opening. So इसलिए bishop d7, queen d3, and of course you are planning to play something like this, and you are preventing knight coming to d5 because you are targeting the h7 pawn. Knight b d5. I think this was not required, but okay, this can be played, looks normal. And now the typical move, guys. What do you think should be white's move here? Hi Samir. Nilansh, I understand. Even I don't like Sicilian, to be honest, but many players do, and they would argue that Sicilian is the best opening ever, but that's not the case. There are many other openings which deserve a lot of importance. Knight e5, that's correct, Ajan. Alpheus u2, knight e5 is the correct move here. So we just jump on this square because there is no knight on c6, and even if there was, we don't care much. Whenever we get a chance, you play this, and we do not develop the rooks right now because we can do that later, and we want to keep our options open, because every time black is thinking, he would have to consider rook c1 or rook d1 or rook fe1 or rook fd1. So he would have to consider a lot of moves every single time. That's why we don't reveal all our moves. We just play knight e5, which is also an obvious move in the structures. Bishop c6, and now we go rook a d1 because the bishop is black has decided that he wants to keep his bishop on this diagonal, and e6 and f7 will be weak. So that's why we get this rook and not this rook, because we want to attack here later on, as we have seen in the first game that we saw. So knight b4, queen goes to h3, bishop d5. So he's just trying to exchange pieces. And now what do you do, guys? Bishop c6 was a mistake, rook c8 was slightly better. What do you do, guys? Same, Ajan, same. I stopped playing e4 because of Sicilian, and in fact I started playing Catalan because I did not like the Sicilian and I thought the theory is too much. So that's the reason I shifted from e4 to d4, and I liked all other moves. Like I liked e4 e5 from white, I liked e4 d6, that is pures, and I even liked French, I mean playing against the French, but I hated playing the Sicilian. That's why I shifted to d4. And Hathaway, Sahil isn't here today. Dhawal, Sahil might enjoy. Sahil might enjoy coming later. Tal loves Sicilian. Yes. Okay, there's some problem with the chat. Just a second, my phone just froze. Just a second, guys. Okay, it's back, guys. I used to play e4, c5, knight c3, but I did not have good results. Like, it was fine, but it would end in a draw, and I wouldn't get the positions I wanted to play. Like, I liked attacking, and I wouldn't get attacking tactical positions. I would get really boring positions with knight c3, and that's why I stopped playing that. Okay, Aryan. So what is to be played, guys? Should you capture with the knight or should you capture with the bishop? I mean, it's about preference, but it's also important with which piece you capture right now. This is an important game to learn IQP, guys. This is extremely important. I mean, this is a classic. So, Krit, do not tell the moves, man. Do not tell the moves. Hi, Karan. Karan, I think you are also Krit, but I'm not sure. So, yes, Arjun. Knight into d5. You are right. So basically, knight into d5 because we want to preserve this bishop, and also if you play bishop into d5, then he would play knight into d5, and again there would be an exchange because you will have to trade a few more pieces. So maybe something like this knight into d5 was also possible, because now guaranteed you will have to exchange another set of pieces. That's why you capture with the knight, to avoid more exchanges. And now what do you play? Again, this has been done in the first game. You have to take some breaks. And how do you take that, guys? Guys, you can try to guess the move. I'll even ask Sahil if he wants to join in, but I'm sure he might be sleeping by now. Krit, what you did tell the plan, so that's why. Yes, f4 is the correct move. Aryan, don't give him a timeout. If required, only I'll give him a timeout. So it's chill for you all mods. Do not give a timeout. I'll do that if required. Aritra, yes, f4 is correct. Rook d3 also makes some sense because you want to have a rook lift, another typical idea. Bishop c2, Ajan. Well, I understand what your plan is, but we want this bishop to be here because right now this knight is on f6, so h7 is well guarded, and you want to take a break with f4 and f5, and you want to open up this bishop for attacking f7. That's why. Abdut, you are right. You are right. This is very similar to the first game that we saw. That's why I'm telling you, ये बहुत typical है. And the first game that we saw was based on this game. That's why classics are important. Because if they did not know about this, they would never play the moves that they did. I think Mohammad Rao played that, so that would never happen. Rook c8. f5 again, we want to just take ef5, rook f5, and now what do you think is the threat here? Okay, Krit, just don't tell any move. You can talk any other things. Just don't hint or don't give any hints or don't tell the moves. Queen d6 was played and it's a mistake. Can someone tell me why is it a mistake? What should be played here and why is this a mistake? Okay, Krit, no problem. Only I'll give you a timeout if required. Otherwise, mods, don't give Krit a timeout. Okay. What is the idea, Alpheus? Yes, knight f7 is correct, but what is the idea behind knight f7? Because queen d6 was a mistake. Yes guys, so knight into f7 again, and it works because after rook into f7 you have rook into f6, and basically this is hanging now, and here you even have the choice of capturing on d5. It's completely up to you. You can take this or this, and even bishop into f6 is possible for that matter. Takes rook d5 again. The rook is hanging, rook d6, queen e8, and rook d7. You win the game, guys. Really, Ajan, I don't remember if someone played this, but I'll check it out. So that's the point of this f4, f5, guys. Whenever you have a knight on e5, you can always go for f4, f5. Not many people know about this, but since we are learning IQP, I think you should know about this. And I don't think this is given in many books, because I have read a few books about pawn structures, but I don't think this was given specifically in any books. But just check this out, and if you're next time playing a game with IQP, go for f4, f5, and you will have a good position if the bishop is here. So these were the few games, guys, and I hope you enjoyed IQP. Let's see if I can play Title Tuesday, because I'm really tired talking. And I'll even quickly call Sahil. Let me see if he wants to join in. Just give me a second, guys. Just a second, guys. Hello? Okay, guys, so Sahil is not probably joining us. He's sleeping. Thanks, Shubhadeep. Okay, I'll add the PGNs to the games on Discord. Yes, Vikesh, it can also work like that. You are right. In Kole, you're right. You're right. So basically, if you're playing Tarash with, as Amay mentioned on Discord, it can occur from Tarash, it can occur from Karokan, it can happen from French exchange. This position you can get from c4, like Nimzo sort of structure. So many openings whenever your opponent plays c5 and you played c4, like d4 d5, then e3 e6 structure is there, and c4 c5. Either of the players will end up with an IQP, or at least a symmetrical pawn structure, and in that case you should be well aware of these plans, and these plans are also possible from black. So exactly the opposite plans with the bishop on b6, and maybe f5 and f4 is possible with the bishop on c7 or bishop on b8, queen d6, and you can try to threaten the h2 pawn. So the exact opposite, guys, it's the mirror. And white just has one move advantage in this, otherwise it's almost the same. And also, I think in most positions, just be aware and just use prophylaxis. Like in the game we saw, like rook c8 was played to play knight b4, so we prevent that with bishop b3. So such small intricacies are important. Just keep looking for your opponent's ideas, and also try to constantly attack or threaten something, and you will be fine in IQP. I mean, it looks extremely difficult to play IQP, but that's not the case. You just need to know a few plans, and then you just have to move around with your pieces, maneuver them, take a few breaks, that's it, and attack. Like, that's IQP, guys. Guys, if you have any questions, you can ask me right now. I think I may not stream Title Tuesday today because of my voice, and I don't want to be too tired. कृत का भी और करेंगे यार, कल करेंगे पक्का. कल I'll play with you guys because I really want Sahil to take some break. He's been streaming for a very long while since I had COVID, and also I was busy with Graphy. So for December, tomorrow is going to be my last lecture for Graphy, and you can even check that out. And I'll see you at the same time, 9:30 tomorrow. Hi Suhani. Guys, Suhani, open in the chat. Suhani is my cousin, and she hates chess, but she's still here. Okay, bye guys, and if you have any questions, you can ask me, or we can end the stream. Bye guys, take care, have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye guys. हर्षल अभी नहीं यार, अभी थक गई. Like I would probably play Title Tuesday, but stream नहीं कर पाऊंगी यार. Good night guys.